happening in India. I would say there is a much stronger shift really today, shift both in intent and in confidence towards a more Atmanirbhar Bharat. And by Bharat, really it is, a term I use for a country, for a society which is far more aware of its own traditions, culture and heritage, which is capable of taking very independent positions, which will actually really chart its own way in the politics of the world. So I do want to say, the motherland today, the sense, the feeling, the confidence levels are very high. But since I am here today in one of our really key partner countries, and one where, as I explained to you, the relationship has been extraordinarily important and extraordinarily consistent over many decades, I conclude with the hope that, with the expectation really, that the Indian community in every possible way would support the efforts of the embassy in building a stronger relationship. Once again, I thank you for taking the time to be here today.
As I mentioned, the Honorable Minister has very kindly agreed to take a few questions. So if there are some of you who would like to raise some things, sure, please come. Somebody give her a mic. Is this Kumar? Okay. We'll start with Manish.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Manish Kumar. I am in the category of who is living here more than 30 years, sir. Also, I'm a vice chairman of Moscow Chamber of Commerce. Why I'm telling, because some of the Russian perspective I will put in. As His Excellency already explained, and we all know that you have started your career when it was the Soviet Union, and you know much better this part of the world. We have seen your growth as a diplomat, as a seasoned diplomat, and the whole world and the many, as His Excellency told, that they all praise you like a, and we all countrymen are really proud of you, because India's foreign policy is a good hand. And if I request everybody to give you the standing ovation. Sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your concern. Now coming to my question, sir, because you have already explained so much about the, the relation of India, Russia, and all the perspective. If we ask you, because we live in this part of the world from many, many years, our families, our kids are here. So how would you see the India-Russia relationship down the time after 5 years, when the geopolitical situation worldwide changing very dynamically? And the situation where we see the Russia only as a strategic friends or privileged partner, or we can see on some more global arena. And immediately I'll use this chance to put the second question, which concerns to all our Indians here. Active discussion is going on in India for the dual citizenship. And regarding this, we would like to ask, now we are in a country which is hardly sanctioned. And if we Indians living here can have the two citizenship, it is so good for us, because we don't lose the identity of SA, because we want to be a proud Indian. We can do the business all over the world. Similarly, we can have the Russian. Thank you very much, sir.
Take another couple of questions, and then the minister will respond. Please, this lady here wanted to ask something. Please, here. Sudha.
Good evening.
Sudha, this lady here first, please. She's wanting here. Come, please.
Namaskaram, sir. I'm Sujata Rajgopal, a chartered accountant. Not about 30 years, but 20 odd years, 26 years. So, of course, I'd like to express my gratitude to you and our Honorable PM for making us proud, and especially as NRIs, where we know that the government is for us and will stand up for us. That's a great feeling of strength and support. So thank you for that. Now my question is, being a chartered accountant, we're talking of expanding trade between Russia and India. And the bottlenecks we know are payment systems. So is there something that you are strategizing to ease that? And are we looking at rupee-ruble convertibility without dollar as a mechanism? Thank you.
One more, yeah, Dr. Soma, please.
Thank you. Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Somasundaram Subramanian, shortly Dr. Soma. I'm a cancer surgeon and a cancer survivor. I'm living here also for 34 years, studied in Soviet Ukraine, then did my medicine and all my training here. I just want to answer to one of the points you did mention, especially in the last more than 10 years. Every year, I'm bringing to India anything between 5 to 25 medical students, doctors, scientists on a regular basis. At any given time, one of the NGOs started by me supports, somebody is there in India even now. And so that is normal, and I'm doing my best for that. But I'll first bring the very first question I always ask, which is not a medical question. Honorable Ambassador knows that. From the point of view as government, what I want from India is to start direct flights between 10 big Indian cities to 10 big Russian cities. That is my question number one. It has to be changed. Without that, we cannot, most of those efforts which 5 of you great leaders have done, who are the superstars for me in the political arena in the world. Number 1 is President Putin. Number 2, Prime Minister Modi. Number 3, yourself. Number 4, Mr. Lavrov. And number 5, but he was the foremost, Evgeny Primakov, the senior, whom I knew personally. You people have changed the world a lot. But what all you did mention now, it will have 100 times more sense if we have this direct connectivity. 2 more points. One you did slightly touch today. That is, both India and Russia, we are nuclear superpowers today. But both our countries are not nuclear medicine superpowers. As a cancer specialist, I'm telling you, this country is producing top-notch materials which the nuclear industry of this country gives, which is even today being used by American and Canadian hospitals, which are not available in this country and in India. It is pathetic and unacceptable. I'll stop here. If you'll give me time, later I'll give you more questions.
So
thank you.
let me respond, and I will keep my answers short in the hope that you'll all keep your questions short after that. So first of all, India-Russia, where do we see it 10 years from now? Look, India and Russia are major powers, okay? What differentiates major powers from others is, even if there are ups and downs in their fortunes, they have that kind of spirit and that resilience and that capability to go through the tough times so that they keep going through, till they again, are able to, in a sense, fully express their capabilities. Given the kind of picture, the analysis that I did for you of the last 70, 80 years, I have no doubt that this relationship will get stronger. Because, I'd actually put it to anybody. Is there today actually, has there been in the last 70, 80 years any big problem between India and Russia? We may not always agree, but we have taken great care not to cause a problem for the other country. Now, not all countries do that, So I think if we continue to show that sensitivity and that wisdom, which we have done in the past, I'm very sure that this relationship will only grow from strength to strength. And I think even in the last few years, I see, frankly, for example, a greater Russian focus on Asia. And I think that is partly one reason why our trade has grown so much in the last 2 years. So I'm very confident that that direction, and certainly I will endeavor to work in that direction where the relationship will keep going. On the dual citizenship, I get that question a lot. I understand why I get that question. It is a very complicated issue, particularly for a country like India, because there are many aspects. There are economic aspects, there are legal aspects, there are security aspects to this. About 20 years ago, we found a kind of a middle ground, okay? And the middle ground was the OCI card. For the moment, the middle ground is the solution which is the available solution. I know from the community, and I understand from the community why there is an interest, because there are more people abroad, their stakes in India, their investments in India, their relationships in India have grown. So it is a matter on which between, I would say, the NRI, PIO community and the government, I expect that conversation to continue. on the payment system, but before the payment system, you actually made one remark. The remark was that we stand up for Indians. You know why we stand up for Indians? For a very, one is a matter of pride. You cannot say I'm a rising power, I'm a big power, I'm influential country if you do not look after your people, because that is the test. It's like a family. If a family has to have respect, that family must learn to take care of all its members. If they get into trouble somewhere, if somebody falls behind, somebody stays apart, it is our duty to take care of that family. That kind of sentiment guides us. But it's also a fact today that because so many Indians and people of Indian origin work abroad, that responsibility is very much higher. That there are actually today 3.5 crore, 35 million Indians and people of Indian origin working abroad or living abroad. So there are very few countries who have that responsibility. So for us today, and half of them are actually still Indian passport holders. So we take that responsibility very, very seriously. Certainly I can tell you, Prime Minister himself, because in his own experience prior to becoming Prime Minister, he had in his travels a very strong connect with Indian community abroad. It is something from day one. If you remember, one of his first forays outside the country was actually to go and, in the USA, you had Madison Square Gardens. Every place that he has gone to, he has made it a point to interact with the diaspora, and that has been our consistent kind of approach. On trade settlements, what will happen? Common currencies are very difficult, but in fact, we're already seeing a situation where countries either have a agreement, between I have currency A, you have currency B, we do trade settlements in both or one currency. I can see a situation where, the reliance on the traditional currencies, it's not just dollar. A lot of countries, for example, used to do the trade settlement in Europe. So there will be more direct settlements, because for a variety of reasons, sometimes non-availability of other currencies, sometimes because for political or other purposes, use of third currencies become problematic. So once a system works, let us say, if we have settled on one or mutual currency for a few years, whether thereafter the world changes or not, our habits will continue. So I can see that actually growing. And certainly where India is concerned, we are today very keen to propagate UPI, to propagate use of RuPay card. We would like Indian platforms, Indian mechanisms, Indian currency in a way for settlement to have greater international acceptance. So that is sort of part very much of India's growing stature in the world. On direct flights, today all airlines in India are privately owned. Okay? Now, when they are privately owned, obviously they will respond to where there is demand. You know. So the days when government directs airlines to go somewhere, those days are behind us, because that kind of direction to an airline actually is not good for an airline. I mean, any of you who are in business, you would not like to be directed by the government how to do business and with whom to do business and where to do business. So I would say today, if there is a strong demand, you know, from the community, and I'm sure you're all very knowledgeable, influential people, you know how to make your demands felt at the right quarters, do approach the airlines, because the airlines do respond. I've seen in the last 2 years a number of new destinations, you know, which have come up between India and that particular country or that particular city. The Indian aviation carriers are themselves today in an expansion mode, which is quite different from how it is in much of the world. Most airlines are today trimming back. But we have actually the largest number of planes which are under order are from India. So I expect the possibilities to be there. I mean, I'm sure all of you would certainly, you know, make your interest known. Certainly from the government side, I mean, we would, you know, I would find it much more convenient to come on an Indian, you know, carrier to Moscow or to other cities rather than, you know, go through the Gulf or go through other options. On nuclear medicine, I note your point. You know, as I said, what has happened is there are, you know, the nuclear, for example, is today a very strong sector. Okay, if I view it in terms of the volume of the business. But I think there are many aspects today which we tend to miss out because over the years we have not been as focused on each other as we could and we should be. I certainly hope, I mean, given your interest and your record, I think this is an area you yourself can make a difference, and I very much hope you will do so. One more.
Okay, Anjani, you can have the one question, that's it. And then
Good evening, sir. Sir, we are very thankful that you have given a very contentful address to the Indian community. I think it is the first address when you become the foreign minister to the Indian community in Russia. So we are very thankful to you. Sir, I'm Anjani Kumar Das, more than 30 years. I am also the president of Overseas Bihar Association and promoting Indian culture in Russia. Sir, I have one question which you have already touched upon. Due to the geopolitical situation, Indian businessmen and Russian businessmen are facing the payment, local payments, as you are telling the RuPay and the Mir card or something, but still we all request you to please expedite this process because the tourism and other people are facing a lot of problem. When we go with the Russians, there is a problem in the payments, local payments, they have to take cash and all these things. So our sincere request to expedite this process so that the tourism and other process can be expedited. Thank you, Mr.
Good evening, sir. I'm Satya Punia into business of pharmaceuticals. I don't have a question. In fact, I just have a suggestion. What is the biggest barrier between Russia and India? It is the language barrier. And to my surprise, I see that in Indian schools, they are not teaching Russian anymore, Russian as a language. They're teaching French, Spanish, though I don't know how much connected we are with these languages. Russian? Well, I'm talking about private schools, and I tried hard to find
he has a point.
Yeah.
The Russian language teaching has decreased,
Yeah.
relatively speaking, in Indian school. That is a fact.
Yes.
And I say this because, I mean, from my own children's experience and my own memory. But
Same here. I was looking for my son so that he could learn Russian in schools in India, and I could hardly find any.
I can tell you some schools, but...
That's just a suggestion, right?
one more from the gentleman there, and then we'll wrap it up there. Yeah, come, please.
Good evening, Your Excellency, and the esteemed members of the Indian community. So I'm Shivam, and I'm a trade lawyer turned into a businessman. I'm young, and I have a question that is there any progress on the free trade agreement between the India as well as Eurasian Economic Zone? Because since you have discussed about the...
Sure,
Yeah,
I'll give you an update. Okay, so on the payments, look, right now is a very unusual situation. Okay, we all know why it is an unusual situation. But the fact is, even in an unusual situation, we are trying today to find ways by which banks deal with each other. A lot of it is, frankly, lack of familiarity. That actually banks don't know enough banks on that side. People are unclear what is happening. And you know, you are from the business world. If you don't have a full picture or you don't have confidence, people hold back. So I would say today that actually those of you in the Indian community who do business, who have banking relationships, who know people at both ends can, if nothing else, educate people about, you know, what are the risks, what are the banks, which are the, you know, good banks, which are the safe routes. I mean, I think you can make a contribution out here, but we have been, through various ways, have been trying to find solutions to the payments problem. The fact that today we are doing a trade of 50 billion will tell you that we have not been unsuccessful in that regard. But I would certainly recognize we can frankly do with a lot of help. That I would like, as I said, just as I would like the Indian business community to identify more export opportunities, I would also request you, please help Russian businesses to understand actually the whole payment side, and maybe on the Indian side also, because you know they will ask their main clients in Russia to actually help them to understand what is a very unusual situation right now. On the Russian language, I think it's a well taken point. We have actually, you know, for me, it's a general problem we face on foreign languages, that what is happening, India is growing. India's exposure to the world is growing. Number of Indians traveling to the world is growing. Indian businesses are growing. But our understanding, our training in foreign languages is not keeping pace with that. I see this as a drawback. And I would say, again, you know, if any of you in some way, my children many years ago, obviously, studied in a school where Russian was taught in Delhi. So if there are ways by which through your own efforts you can contribute to that in some way of strengthening teaching, especially of, you know, Russian language, and it is I would to a Indian student, you know, anybody, for example, studying Sanskrit, it's a very logical language to take on as an additional language. I mean, most of us, at least who came here in the embassy, we kind of went through that language training for a year and a half, and we actually used the Sanskrit grammar as a reference point to learn Russian. But I would encourage you, and you know, again, if people feel there is business opportunities, there's a career, there will be more interest in learning Russian. And the last point on EU FTA. Yes, there was you know, for a variety of reasons, I would say the negotiators did not meet. But today, when I met Deputy Prime Minister Manturov, we agreed that early next year, our negotiating teams will meet. So I expect by the end of January, hopefully, that the in-person negotiations will start.
Thank you for your address, Honorable Minister. May I kindly now request you and the Ambassador to join our community members for photos. Now, I will invite the members seated in row 1 and row 3 to come to the stage for a group picture with the Honorable Minister and the Ambassador. Our ushers are present to help you. Kindly return to your original seats after the photograph.
भाई साहब सामने से भाई साहब थोड़ा सा प्लीज। अरे यार थोड़ा नीचे कर लो थोड़ा सा।
बेटा देख के आप पकड़ो जी बच्चे आप पकड़ो।
अरे सामने से हट जाओ मेरा भाई, हम भी कर रहे हैं।
अच्छा अभी
सर एक मिनट
सेलिब्रेशन हो रहा है सेलिब्रेशन के आप गुरुद्वारा आए हैं, सबसे पहले क्या कहेंगे आप इसमें?
देखिए, सिर्फ मैं ही नहीं आया हूँ, मैं समझता हूँ मेरे मंत्रिमंडल में सारे साथी आज गुरुद्वारा साहब गए होंगे अलग अलग स्थान पे, और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी एक बहुत शानदार कार्यक्रम किया भारत मंडपम में। देखिए ऐसे है, ये वीर बाल दिवस, इसका निर्णय माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने लिया था 9 जनवरी को, और ये उन्होंने निर्णय लिया था कि 26 दिसंबर हर वर्ष हम वीर बाल दिवस मनाएंगे। ये क्या, इसका क्या महीना है? देखिए हमारी बहुत प्राचीन संस्कृति और सभ्यता है, बहुत लोगों ने भारत को महान बनाने के लिए उसका योगदान दिया, पर ये जो गुरु गोविंद सिंह जी के बच्चे थे, उम्र कितनी थी, 9 साल और 6 साल और 6 साल और 9 साल, उनकी जो शहादत है, मैं तो दुनिया में अलग अलग जगह मैंने सर्व किया, ऐसा सैक्रिफाइस, ऐसी शहादत की मैंने कहानी कहीं नहीं सुनी। और आज अगर मैं आपको दिल की बात बताऊं, आप लोग, मनोज भाई भी हैं, मनसुख भाई जी भी हैं, सब लोग हैं, हमने सुना हुआ था, पर ये आपको नहीं लगता कि जरूरी है कि हमारे देश में जो भी स्कूलों में पढ़ाया जाता है, इस शहादत के बारे जानकारी हमारे बच्चों को देनी चाहिए। मैं स्कूल जाता था तो हमें जो अंग्रेजों ने क्या काम किया था उसका इतिहास पढ़ाया जाता था, वो मुगलों ने क्या काम किया, इतिहास जो हमारे देश के लिए जो ये शहादत और ये जो योगदान है, तो मैं समझता हूँ कि इस वर्ष से लेके आगे भी समय में 26 दिसंबर वीर बाल दिवस मनाया नहीं जाएगा, सिर्फ लोग जाएंगे, इस शहादत को याद करेंगे। और मैं समझता हूं कि हमारे जो शिक्षा के डिपार्टमेंट हैं, ये हमारे स्कूल के करिकुलम के बच्चों को भी, उनको भी पढ़ाया जाएगा। आज सुबह मुझे सौभाग्य मिला पटना साहिब, श्री हरमंदिर जी पटना साहिब जाने का भी, और मेरे साथी कुछ हम लोग गए वहाँ पे, वो पवित्र जन्म स्थान है गुरु महाराज का, वहाँ पे भी जाने का सौभाग्य मिला। और मुझे बहुत पर्सनल, एक तो मैं बीजेपी का कार्य करता हूँ, बट एक अपनी सिख रिलीजन का डिसाइपल आने का, गुरु महाराज का आशीर्वाद लेने का, मैं समझता हूँ एक बहुत ही मेरे लिए बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है।
सर, राम मंदिर भी कहीं ना कहीं मोदी जी ने जो फाइट करी है उसकी वजह से,
वो तो अभी डेट अनाउंस कर दी उन्होंने। हाँ जी
22 जनवरी भव्य दिन रहने वाला
जी
है।
जी।
ऑपोजिशन इसमें भी, देखिए
ऑपोजिशन के, अब ये हम गुरुद्वारा साहब आपके ऑपोजिशन कई बातें करती है, उसमें कितना महीना लगता है, कितना महीना, मैं समझता हूँ ये सही स्थान नहीं है। बाकी ये मैं आपको ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि जो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हमारी भारतीयता को, ये जो हम शहादत को हम याद करते हैं, तो भारत को भी, भारतीयता को भी, और मैं चाहता हूँ हमारा जो ओवरऑल धर्म है उसके बारे है, और सब धर्मों के। अभी आप ये नहीं है कि मोदी जी ने सिर्फ, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने सिर्फ वीर बाल दिवस बनाया है, कल क्रिसमस था, उन्होंने अपने आवास में हमारे जो क्रिश्चियन फेथ के लोग हैं उनको भी वेलकम किया, कई लोग, हमारे लोग चर्चेस भी गए। देखिए भारत एक बहुत प्राचीन सिविलाइजेशन है, पर आज दुनिया में सबसे बड़ी डेमोक्रेसी है, और मैं समझता हूँ फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग इकोनॉमी है। तो इसकी जो विशेषता है, हम अपने धर्म के थ्रू, अपने आर्थिक प्रगति के थ्रू हम इसको सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं।
सर, मेरा एक सवाल है, सरहिंद की जिन दीवारों पर 2 साहिबजादों के जिस्म गड़े हैं, उसी सच्चाई पर आज सत्य सनातन धर्म खड़ा है।
जी,
ये सच्चाई एक हमें प्रेरणा देती है त्याग का, बलिदान का।
जी, तो मैं तो आपकी बात से बिल्कुल सहमत हूँ। आप मुझसे सवाल नहीं पूछ रहे, जो आप कह रहा हूँ, मनसुख भाई भी और मनोज भाई भी, हम बिल्कुल आपके साथ हैं। मनोज जी बताइए कुछ।
सबसे बड़ी बात है, देखिए मनसुख भाई बताएंगे, सर बता रहे हैं, दुनिया में जो भी इन दो साहिबजादों की वीर गाथा सुनेगा वो 26 दिसंबर को वीर बाल दिवस स्वीकार कर लेगा।
बस हो गया, हो गया।
चलो,
थैंक यू सर।
ऑपोजिशन लेकिन लगातार उसे नकार रहा है। ऑपोजिशन कह रहा है कि धार्मिक जो होना चाहिए था सेलिब्रेशन अब वो
transformation which is taking place there. And it is a transformation which most of all is enormous transformation which is taking place there. And it is a transformation which most of all is actually driven by an embrace of technology that you see in India. That today, even if you go to a street vendor, selling tea or bananas or coconut water, they are more likely to ask you for payment through a QR code and a phone. Then they are likely, if you give them a note, they will not give you change because they say, that's your problem, not ours. So, if you look today at financial transactions, you look at actually programs the government has done, that the fact that we are very confident in a fairly short time that every house in India will be connected to piped water. Every home in India would be given an electricity connection. In fact, there will be more homes. That in the last decade, we have constructed 40 million homes, and 40 million homes at 5 people per family means 200 million people today have homes, which they did not have 10 years ago. So if you look at the scale of change today in India, it is enormous. And the mindset itself is today you hear much more interest today in skilling and innovation and starting your own business. In fact, if one looks today at loans which are given out, mudra loans, or even we give loans to even people who do their own businesses, and these are loans without security. And we see, the 80-90% of the people who get these loans return it on time. So it's a very different India today that we are looking at. We are very confident next year, there are big decisions that we as a nation have to make. We are very confident that those decisions would be made, for the good of the country, keeping in mind our long-term future. So if I were, in a sense, to sum up what is happening in India, I would say there is a stronger shift really today, shift both in intent and in confidence towards a more Atmanirbhar Bharat. And by Bharat, really it is, a term I use for a country, for a society which is far more aware of its own traditions, culture and heritage, which is capable of taking very independent positions, which will actually really chart its own way in the politics of the world. So I do want to say, the motherland today, the sense, the feeling, the confidence levels are very high. But since I am here today in one of our really key partner countries, and one where, as I explained to you, the relationship has been extraordinarily important and extraordinarily consistent over many decades, I conclude with the hope that, with the expectation really, that the Indian community in every possible way would support the efforts of the embassy in building a stronger relationship. Once again, I thank you for taking the time to be here today.
As I mentioned, the Honorable Minister has very kindly agreed to take a few questions. So if there are some of you who would like to raise some things, sure, please, come. Somebody give her a mic. Kumar. Okay, we'll start with Manish.
Good evening everybody. My name is Manish Kumar. I am in the category of who is living here more than 30 years, sir. Also, I'm a vice chairman of Moscow Chamber of Commerce. Why I'm telling, because some of the Russian perspective I will put in. As His Excellency already explained, and we all know that you have started